This has been a deeply moving trip for me and my wife, has said the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a short statement after the ceremonial welcome that he was given at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, where, as you can see on your screens right now, he also met with senior members of Prime Minister Modi's cabinet. This at the start of his 6-day visit to India. He is now expected to hold a summit meeting with Prime Minister Modi, which is expected to be topped off at the end by a joint statement. Let's go across to Bhairavi, who's following the story. Let's go across to her for more. So, Bhairavi, the ceremonial welcome is now over. So, what's next on the itinerary for today?
Well, Sarah, now actually all the work starts, because shortly from now there will be the one-on-one discussions between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu at the Hyderabad House, followed by delegation-level talks. There will be agreements that will be signed soon after that, and a press statement later in the day. Of course, Prime Minister Netanyahu will also be calling on the President Kovind, as well as a CEO forum that both Prime Ministers will be attending later in the evening. But agreements, of course, will range from trade to innovation, to startups, to water, to renewable energy, to oil and gas, and this is where the real focus will be on: water, oil and gas, renewable energy, startups, cyber security, because both sides are keen to increase the trade relations between the both sides, as defense ties are already quite strong. Israel is one of our biggest defense partners. Now, bilateral trade excluding defense grew to at least 4 billion in 2016 from just about 200 million in 1992, the year the two nations established diplomatic relations first, and we do about 1 billion in defense trade every year as well. The Israel aerospace industries won a 2 billion contract last year, and there will be many deals that will be signed, as I said, and of course India is keen to get the technology that Israel has so well developed, particularly in water, as we have much concerns about water and farming and technology as well. But both sides are very upbeat about this relationship. President Netanyahu just said that this was a deeply moving trip for him and his wife, and that this is a match made in heaven. Prime Minister Modi has time and again called him a dear friend. He also broke protocol when he visited him, actually received him at the airport along with Foreign Minister Sushma Swaraj, and of course later also hosted a private dinner for him. And let's actually listen to what President Netanyahu said just a short while ago.
This is a dawn of a new era in the great friendship between India and Israel. It began with Prime Minister Modi's historic visit to Israel, which created tremendous enthusiasm. It continues with my visit here, which I must say is deeply moving for my wife and me and for the entire people of Israel. And I think it heralds a flourishing of our partnership to bring prosperity and peace and progress for both our peoples.
And that, of course, are the positives of this trip, if you're talking about cooperation in defense and technology, but it's also a balancing act for India. What are the sticky points that could come up?
Well, absolutely, Sarah. This is indeed a balancing act for India, as we have interests beyond Israel in West Asia and Middle East, some of those countries that don't essentially get along with Israel. And also, of course, just ahead of this visit now, a key deal, a 500 million deal with Rafale, advanced defense systems was scrapped. It was a deal for Spike anti-tank guided missiles that suddenly the army, the DRDO scrapped. Now, that's back on the table in the sense that the army chief has said, well, we are trying to work out some mechanism to have at least some aspect of that back. This, of course, at a time when the Rafale CEO is also in that delegation of 130 business leaders that are accompanying President Netanyahu, and who also called that development disappointing. So that's clearly something that has been on the mind for both sides. The other issue, of course, that has come up time and again is that vote in the UN. Remember, the US brought a vote in the United Nations for calling Israel, calling Jerusalem as Israel's capital. That we voted against, along with 127 other nations, in favor of Palestine. And we have hyphenated the relationship between Israel and Palestine, in the last year or so. But we continue to be close friends with Palestine as well, and that is something that we are careful about, the positioning between both the relationship with Israel as well as in Palestine. And Iran, of course, continues to be a close partner for India. You know, we are developing that Shahabad port with Iran. Iran, of course, is not exactly a friend of Israel. So there is a lot of balancing to do in this particular region, but nonetheless, as the Israeli ambassador to India, Daniel Carmen, said that this is an all-weather relationship which will go from strength to strength going forward. Sarah.